Hello and welcome to the 10th.
Oh, this is the 10th? Oh,
it's so good. 10th episode of We're Just Haters.
We're Just Haters.
10, damn.
10, and it's our first Internationaal episode. So fitting.
Yes,
that was totally on accident.
Yeah, that's completely unplanned. But let's pretend it was, obviously. We are in Amsterdam, guys. Currently, we are in our Amsterdam hotel. And we went to see a show that's going to be familiar to our British audiences. It's The Years that closed a few months ago in the Almeida Theatre. It's the production of Eline Arbo. Should we go to the past of yesterday, literally?
Like not even 12 hours ago.
No, and listen to what we had to say. I'll see you in a bit.
Okay, well, probably we spoiled already where we are.
Yeah.
In the studio. We're looking at the future. But yeah, our first International episode. We're Just Haters.
Yes.
And we are at the International Theatre Amsterdam. And yeah, we're seeing Years that just recently closed the Almeida Theatre, where we couldn't get any tickets. So yeah, we saw it going on tour because this is the original production coming from here. We were like, let's see if they're going to do subtitles. So we emailed and they were like, no, we're not going to do subtitles for you crazy Yanks. And we were like, okay, cool. And then 2 days after, he was like, hi, Rasa, actually, we're going to do subtitles. So yeah, we're here.
And then we found out like 2 weeks ago, it's coming back to London to the West End, to the Hero Printer in January. Yeah. So this was kind of for nothing, but that's okay. We'll go see it again.
Fun. No, I think what's interesting, because we had the whole discussion about how is it going to work on the big scale, and this theatre
is bigger than the Almeida.
Massive.
Yeah.
It has massive playing space. So basically, it's kind of like this kind of
cradle
semi amphitheatre, and it has a raised stage in the middle. It's a massive stage. And it's very beige, just 4 chairs, a table. I kind of reconnected with my European roots by using free cloakroom. It's literally was like coming back home moment for me. It was very big. I'm very glad you were here to experience this.
I mean, I love a free cloakroom.
Oh, what do we know about this? Well, multiple people said it was life-changing production for a lot of them,
and that it was the best thing they'd ever seen. And that's saying a big deal.
And also that the most people that fainted in Almeida per show was 12 at the same time. There's one.
So let's reiterate that 12 people fainting in one show.
Yeah, at the same time.
And we both do that. You know, if we were duty managers, we would have to deal with that. I could never. I would have a nervous breakdown. Yeah. I've dealt with sick people, but only one at a time. Not 12 that you got to haul out of the theater.
No, but I guess like you just like doze off and then you come back. You're not fully going into like... But this theater was interesting. Like, yeah, it was intense. Intense operation for Almeida. So well done for having that run. It's going to be interesting how it's going to happen in West End. And the scene in question, well, let's not spoil it.
No.
Go to the studio, and it's a very reasonable 2 hours, no interval. Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
No. I think that's all. We don't need to talk anymore. Let's watch. Oh, and we got free programs too, which is nice.
Yeah.
All in Dutch, but it's okay. It's a keepsake.
Like, yeah. Right. So, back to you in the studio. Danke.
Right, so that was us. And me having a moment about the free cloakroom pre-show.
I mean, it's great. It was great.
I mean, yeah, that's a cultural thing. Everyone does it. You don't sit with a coat watching theatre. No, do you have a drink? once you watch theatre. Focus. And that's why 2 hours no interval is reasonable. So let's jump straight into it. What does Internationaal Theatre Amsterdam website?
Well, first it gives like a little review, like a line at the top from a review. It says, "Nothing short of theatrical magic, a celebratory explosion of language and acting," which I totally agree with.
Yeah.
Anyway, due to its great success, the Years by Nationale Theatre returns in 2024 in co-production with the ITA Ensemble. The production was selected for Netherlands Theatre Festival as one of the most beautiful, groundbreaking, and impressive performances of the season. Mariana Aparicio won the prestigious Theo d'Or Award for her role as the most impressive female lead.
Nice.
So yeah, basically, there's a long piece here. You want me to read that too? It's quite long.
No, I think this one, The Years, is a production featuring all-female cast.
Yes, directed by Eline Arbo, based on the European bestseller by Annie Ernaux, winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature in 2022.
Yeah.
So this is like a brief synopsis, essentially. So it's like, in The Years, 5 actresses collectively narrate the life of one woman against the backdrop of a rapidly changing world. Raised amidst the aftermath of World War II, she breaks free from her middle-class upbringing and becomes a writer with a sharp political and social awareness. Using photos, songs, and news reports, she talks about emancipation being women's sexuality, class differences, and individual opportunities. As separate scenes, musical, happy, and melancholic memories are evoked. By following one life, we see the world change. The hyper-personal story of a French woman thus becomes a universal biography of post-war Western Europe.
Yeah.
So basically, that gives you everything you need.
Yeah, that's what it is. So we following a story of one woman played by 5 different actresses in different ages. So we see her from childhood all the way up to her kind of last chapters as a mature lady. So we opened with a photograph of little mise en scène of a child being photographed, and we're being transported into like family kitchen.
Yes.
Where child's mother and auntie, I don't know.
I think it is mother and auntie. And maybe a cousin.
Yeah, recount stories of the Second World War. And
it's clear that they were born, her and her cousin, they were born like near the end of it.
Yeah.
They romanticize it because the way that their aunt and their mom talks about it is like
It's exciting.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
And they actually the sun's
out. Oh my God, the sun is out, guys.
Yeah.
The sun is out.
Yesterday
it's very
was
exciting.
Totally awful, but
Sorry.
now the sun's out. Anyway, they talk about how it felt and how actually after the war is so boring now, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I guess excitement that's either good or bad doesn't matter as long as it's exciting.
As long as it's exciting, yeah. And it was an interesting metaphor about how we do care about our small little lives. And this is, what we know and what we remember. So we see this child who's kind of like inquisitive, excited about life. And then
we get another photo.
Photo. And she turns into a young prepubescent
9-year-old who's, going through things,
discovering her sexuality,
feelings about boys, feeling about her body.
She explores it.
Yes. Differences between sexes, how in school the boys and girls are separated, how the boys are vulgar and curse, and how the girls are encouraged not to do that.
Yeah, how they're encouraged to just be, quiet,
and they all
lovely and demure.
And how that at that age you're just like you want to become a teenager. Like you want your period so bad, you want boobs so bad, and you can't wait for that to happen.
Yeah, and then we have another photo, and she develops those breasts.
Yes.
She's excited. She
gets her period. I'm a woman now. Yeah. I want to be a young lady. I'm wearing things that, accentuate my body, my,
femininity.
I want attention from boys. But, I don't want to go too far. I don't want to have sex yet.
But then she goes to the summer camp to work in the summer camp. That a lot of kids that were not rich would do in order to have
there's a clear
holidays.
difference. It establishes, when talking about her being in school and stuff, talks about how she's different from her other peers because she's not as rich as them. So she has to do middle class activities.
Yeah, she can't go to French Riviera, so she goes to work. And she encounters kind of the leader of the camp, I guess.
Yeah.
Who essentially rapes her.
Yeah, but she tries to justify it by saying she wanted it because she says, I purposely made eye contact. I purposely wore my hair down to get his attention.
Yeah.
And
kind of the whole narrative that we are being fed as women. It's horrible, graphic scene, and the way she was like, I've never felt so happy.
But it happens 2 times though, remember? Yeah. The first time it happens, even though she says, I wish I was anywhere but there when it happened, she's like, I could have said no, I could have walked away, I could have told him to leave, but I didn't. And I just
again, like blaming yourself. And it's like, I mean, every woman will relate to that.
And then after the first time, she's like, she yearns to try it again. I guess
No, but she says that I've never been so happy, but she's like tears streaming down her face.
Yeah.
And it's literally like a trauma porn. And like, this is what we meant to, as women, believe that, this is what we deserve. And like the way she recounted as well, it's like he had no regard for her.
Because after the first time it happened, he totally ignored her. And I knew that was going to happen.
No, it's more, he just used her.
And then did it again and then left, and she never saw him again afterwards.
Yeah, and like it was as well, the way it was depicted as well, again, a lot of us can relate, is when your pleasure is not being considered at all. And obviously it was back in the day, it was like, 50s, 60s, 50s.
And so speaking as him, and he wanted her to enjoy it, but she was not. And he was getting confused as to why
but this is what men say. It's like, because that makes them feel better if a woman comes.
Exactly.
Then it makes them to feel more of a man, even though they have no idea how to make her come.
Yeah.
And even like that character, she's like, I wish he would have done this to me, but he never did. And
because
she never
girls shouldn't ask that, is what she said.
Yeah, because women are not deserving pleasure. Yeah, and then we have another photo. She goes to uni, and then obviously like world is changing. They all get like as students are very politically engaged, and how French are, they love their protests. So the student protest happens. They all, talk about the war in Algeria. Well, the War of Independence, they are supporting it, but also like, in a very
neoliberal way.
Neoliberal way, yeah. We will talk about it. We're not like fully kind of engaged with it. It's just kind of what we do.
We disagree with it, but we're not going to do any more besides disagree with it.
Yeah, and like continue smoking cigarettes and drinking wine. So we see her in this very kind of like bohemian life, and she's finally free. To be a writer. Yeah, she wants to be a writer. She's exploring her sexuality. It feels like, I don't know, we feel like, I guess she dealt with that trauma. Like she seems very different from the young girl we saw. She's free. She's liberated. Well, it seems like that. Yeah, and then she gets pregnant, and she never really wanted a child. She doesn't see it as a blessing.
She says it. She doesn't see herself being a mother in general, actually. She says it.
And obviously abortions were not legal, so she seeks some help.
Before she does that...
true.
Before she does that, she attempts to induce an abortion on herself.
Yeah.
In a very violent way, but she couldn't bring herself to do it because it's too painful when she tries to do it on herself.
I mean, she tries it with a knitting needle, basically to insert it.
That part I did get a little bit, my tummy was a bit, oh my God. But then she couldn't bring herself to do it on herself. So then she actually goes to the doctor. The doctor actually gives her the information to find someone to do it for her. And he tells her, make sure to take antibiotics.
I think penicillin, yeah.
Before, and like 7 days before and 7 days after. Basically saying, making sure you don't get an infection and fucking die.
Because that's it. I mean, like, obviously medical professionals would...
Don't tell me about it. Don't talk about it. I'm just going to say this and we're never going to talk about it again.
Yeah.
Literally.
So she goes and does that, the procedure. And she kind of expects it to be done there. But what the woman says, she still needs to deliver the baby, basically. And she said it's going to happen.
A couple hours later after she gets back to her dorm.
And this is kind of the scene that, I mean, this whole scene, I think the abortion scene was
from the knitting
that made,
needles all the way to the end of this.
that made people faint. Because it is very...
very descriptive.
Very descriptive, but also as a matter of fact a little bit. And that's what makes, I think, every time that emotion is not expressed, the audiences really feel it, I think. So it was successfully done. Yeah, so she passes...
with the help of a friend helps
the fetus, yeah. And it's very sad and traumatic. And then we have another photo, and she's a mother!
Yes, after that. Not even that far... Only a couple years later, like 2-3 years later, she gets married and has a baby. Yeah, I mean, she gets pregnant and then she gets married and then she has a baby. Yeah,
but
we joke about it. Oh, he was 3 months
premature.
Yeah.
And then again, she's still kind of, she finds her community with other mothers. The conversations turn from intellectual conversations to kind of conversations about the children and the families. And she is absolutely bored by that. We have another photo, and now they are 2 kids now. Hey!
But it stops being photos, and then it becomes video.
Oh yeah,
footage,
true.
Because now we're kind of seeing how technology is advancing, and now people have their own video cameras. So her husband videos her and her 2 sons, and
so now she has 2 kids, so it's like there's no way out. But then she kind of goes back to this because summer of 68, 69 coming, so she kind of goes back into like very bohemian way, and they smoke,
they do shrooms,
they get high
music, they swap partners, all that type of stuff.
And then we change again, we go back to the photo, and it's a kind of middle-aged woman.
Yeah, she's gotten older. Her kids are older now. She's a teacher now, so she's not just a homemaker.
And she divorced her husband, and she lives with her 2 boys. And she kind of like discovers her sexuality again. She takes an lover and has a great time. And she describes it as like the happiest she's ever felt.
The combination of thinking about her husband and thinking about her kids and going to uni, all that feeling together, those positive feelings that she has from that, are equal to just even thinking about him
coming to her. And then obviously he disappears. He goes back to his family.
And she tries to engage him in more conversation. Like, she tells him that I'm going to write a book. And she just talks and talks and talks. And he's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, yes. Classic.
The end.
So she's like absolutely heartbroken. And just I think we feel that kind of her age seeping in, and that question of, being desired.
Well, we're seeing how she's become really detached from her previous life as a mother and a wife. Of course she cares about her children, but those motherly feelings only really appear when they're in the same room as her. She doesn't really feel it outside of actually physically being with her.
She takes in a cat.
She has a cat now, a black and white cat, I think.
Yeah.
She's still teaching. And while all these things are happening, we're getting information about what's happening in the world as well. Simultaneously, as her life is going, we're getting the modern events, the technology, the different technology that's happening. We're getting the introduction of the personal computer.
Different innovations.
We're getting, the different conflicts that are happening around the world as well. And how she's paying attention to it, but she's not super engaged in it because she's kind of consumed with her own life. And she's older now. And,
so there's another photograph.
The
last actress.
Yep. And she has another lover, a different lover, who's younger than her.
Yeah.
A young guy.
We don't know.
And young artist.
We don't know. I think she is paying for him.
Maybe. Because he lives in an icy studio flat with a mattress on the floor.
Yeah, which
He's
kind of
artist.
Reminds her of her, student times. And we see her with him. All the characters are played by the same women, which is was very interesting because it was such a tender moment. Like, they just kissed, and you can see how tender he is with her and kind of how caring. But I think there's she knows she's not under illusion, that something could happen with him, I think.
And even she is not satisfied with it by the end. She's like, yeah, this happened, and it didn't fill that void, I guess, that she was
feeling,
searching for, to something to fill.
Yeah, and then it kind of comes out because she still hasn't written her book.
Yeah.
And we go back to it at the very end, basically when she says that before was kind of when I was trying to write a book when I was a student, I was thinking or imagining things and thinking about the possibilities. And now what she has is kind of like memories and faces that kind of fading and like millions of sentences and bits and images that she kind of needs to make sense of. And then we never know. Yeah, we never know if she actually managed to write the book.
Yeah. And I think she also is kind of feeling a bit, because, the last photo is of her and her granddaughter in like 2006 or something. And like she felt how has she been so easily replaced by this new person? Yeah. This new human or whatever.
Yeah. Because we opened the whole show about like with the text about memories and how all of us are gonna become, all our memories and images will disappear in a second. And she's kind of like reaching that point where everything, like she's already being replaced. So everything that she's experienced is gonna disappear any minute now. And then the show ends with all of them being together. Another like device that we forgot to mention was that they were using every scene has a white tablecloth, and with every scene that tablecloth would get soiled with different things: wine, baby food, blood. Yeah, and then they all being rigged up, and then we're projecting all 5 women on them at the end of the show.
And it's a mobile, so it moves. It's moving in a circle while it's projecting the images of them, the live images of them. Yeah, because they set up a camera. Camera use, people. Yeah, good camera use.
So as you can see, like, sorry for kind of like messy and I guess disjointed play-by-play, because I think the ideas and everything was so intricate and interwoven. It's very hard to, talk about it, I guess.
Yes, because we'd be here all day if we talked about every single tiny detail.
Exactly.
Because it was very intentional, every single thing.
Yeah.
And we could go on and on about it. But we don't want to keep you guys here that long. We just want to give you a gist.
Yeah, so that's kind of the gist. So let's go back
and listen to our
if we can. Yeah. Because basically, well, you're going to hear it. I hope. I don't know. We shall find out.
Put it here with all of us?
Yeah.
It could be like 5 seconds.
Yeah, just
we'll talk about it more.
Just a disclaimer. We're gonna try to record our after show thoughts, but one of the actresses sat next to us, so if we're not particularly expressive, this is why. But hey, these are our after show thoughts.
So
you might need to speak up.
So I'm trying to get closer.
Okay. Yeah, it's that directional.
I thought it was good.
Okay. I think we need some more listener.
Yeah, it was a memory play about someone's life from beginning to end, and being a woman from beginning to end. Yeah. Very broad saying, but that's what it was about, essentially.
Yeah. I don't know, I just kind of got reminded why I love European theatre so much and how I miss it and how I need to reconnect with my roots, I think. I found it profoundly moving.
Yeah.
I think the brilliance of having dramaturgs in European theatre who actually work as a part of, the team, is to bringing that wider context into the quite personal story. Obviously, I'm not familiar with the novel. Maybe the novel is written that way. But I think what was interesting is to seeing the kind of development of the world, and then kind of like
juxtaposing that with her own life.
Counter development of, women's rights, like how they're stagnating. And I think it's especially so poignant now when like the rights of women all around the world are being taken away. And also
I think again what's interesting is the kind of like the developments they're talking about. This particular woman, she was just too late to benefit from them. After her illegal abortion, the contraceptive pill gets developed and released. After her, and divorce and questionable kind of decisions about family, not having a family, or not choosing not to have children become an okay thing. So it's like very interesting is how her life could have been,
Yeah, and I think we see the regret throughout and how she had all these thoughts for herself. But again, she was born a bit too early. If she had been born like 10 years later, she would have probably been able to have more control over her life. And it's interesting because even in her lifetime with what was happening, the war and then women's rights and sexual revolution and civil rights and all those things, and even with those things happening and the world changing, it still wasn't enough, and she was still trapped in the usual expectations of a woman, regardless. And also, she was able to go to school. Yeah. She was able to go to university, but guess what? Still have to be a mother, and still have to be a wife, regardless of that.
I think as well, what was very cool. Obviously, it's set in France, as you can hear. I don't know if you can hear. I don't know what you can hear. We'll find out in the studio, I guess. I think what was interesting for me about is that kind of conversation they brought about trauma and what happens when we don't see it. And even though if we don't see it, it still leaves a mark on you. And the marking and the mark was kind of symbolism throughout this piece.
And on the tablecloths.
And this is a very, as well, I think a lot of countries in Europe, because obviously what happened with Nazi Germany and because of occupation, a lot of us were complicit in their crimes. And I think this is quite a prevalent idea of being even though you didn't really do it, but being aware of it, it still kind of stains you or makes you guilty, in a sense. I think the way they talk about the wars, the way they talk about Algeria, we don't see it,
All this is happening, but this is what my life is going through right now, so I don't really necessarily care that much.
I mean, they do, but what they said, it was very interesting, is she never talked. She only talked what she saw about her mother, being she never talked about an actual war, about what was actually happening. Because again, I think you can't, sometimes you can't go there. And then we see that's juxtaposed with her trauma when she gets raped. And the way she depicted as if
she wanted it.
She had some
control
over it.
And she really did it.
And that super painful bit about I've never been so happy, when she's literally broken down. So what trauma as well, it's so similar the way her mom and auntie, I guess, depicted war. It was
they made it sound so great, and they were wow, that sounded amazing. I wish I was there, is what they were saying.
It was
children.
So exciting, and then the same happened to her. So it's I really enjoyed it. I think it was very very moving, very relatable as well, because I think they showed women that are raw and disgusting and creepy and horny and all that, and not dignified, because it's all women, you can just be a play toy. They actually be nah, this is us, and this is how we are.
And it showed the awkwardness and uncomfortableness that comes with growing up, and those things that people do that people don't want to talk about.
Yeah. And again, that's juxtaposed with France as a country growing up from war and the way how it started as well, being like welcoming to, because it started with like Second World War, and then like another thing, it was like Algerian conflict, well, fight for independence, but whatever they say, it's not a war, it's conflict. But how it was like, oh yeah, you know, immigrants should stay here, you know, where else they gonna go, you know, they're gonna be like citizens of our land, to like, you know, up to now when it's like ban of burqas and all that. So it's like, it's very interesting kind of like genesis of, well, not genesis, but kind of like the modern France history and the history of women. It's just, yeah, it's a lot to think about, I think, and that's why, yeah, I liked it. Also, I don't know why people are fainting.
Okay, I will say, I got a little queasy.
Really?
In the knitting needles bit.
Ooh.
I was a bit like, holy fucking, like I was a bit.
Oh, because you thought she's gonna insert it into her.
She did do it. She got it into her cervix. Almost.
I thought that's how it's gonna go, and then we're gonna have loads of blood, but
I thought that part was ingenious. Man, but I do see why people are fainting, because I was like, oh, that knitting needle bit. I was like, oh,
interesting.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Because it's such a visceral reaction, because she's describing body parts that I have, and it's like, oh, you know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah, because apparently when I talked about it, like, with people who worked in the media, they were like, oh, I was like, is it like women or is it men fainting? They're like, it's 50-50.
Crazy.
Yeah, so, hey, men have empathy. Can you believe that? No, I'm joking. We love men.
Crazy. And maybe the description of the fetus and all that probably could also get people.
I guess so, yeah, if you like.
A little queasy.
Yeah, that was gross.
Yeah, they fleshed it, yeah.
But to be fair, I think the most grossed out of the two big contenders, but one of them was I don't remember which performance was it, but it was Krzysztof Wedlikowski, like the Polish theatre director I keep banging on about. In one of the scenes, they had like a mincemeat, like a packet of mincemeat, and the character ate it and then vomited it out. So she ate raw mincemeat and vomited it out. That was, I think, the grossest I felt in the theatre.
Now, I've seen fake throw up on stage.
Yeah, no, that was real. Yeah, she literally like ate, and then she ate raw meat, and she does it like all the time.
That's extreme.
Yeah. So that was quite. Other than that, lovely theatre, great bar, brasserie, lovely.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's enough. We can talk about it more in detail.
Yeah, if you heard anything, if not, well,
that's okay.
We're gonna pretend and record another one.
Yeah.
And be like, hello. Okay, bye.
Bye.
So yeah, sorry about the
background noise.
Yeah, because she was literally the actress who was playing the baby woman. She was literally
2 steps away, not even 2 steps,
away. like
not even a meter. She was right next to us.
So, but hey, we did it anyways because we care about our content so much.
Right.
We wanted you to feel it. So I feel like, again, this is like one of those shows that you still need to consider. I think it was very difficult to talk about it afterwards. I don't know. Like
there was so much in it that it's just like hard to like. We need more time to process.
I know.
Now we've had a night to process, so we can talk about it more.
What I really enjoyed I think it really depicted women the way that we are, and not. I know it's gonna sound horrible, but not the kind of the usual.
I know exactly what you mean.
Male version of a woman. You know, even though when like men try to write like strong, independent. Why do we always need to be strong and independent? You know, if we are not victims, we are strong and independent. And this author really captures the complexity of what it is to be a woman, from that nitty gritty and like what we're fighting, the internalized patriarchy, and kind of the yearning of being actually free and failing. So yeah, I really felt I could connect to those women, and I think what was interesting to kind of see what the future will bring as well, possibly.
Yeah.
And it's scary. It's scary, kind of.
And it kind of spoke to like how, of course, how all of us, no matter when we were born, you know, because this woman is like the same age of just a little bit younger than my grandparents, how complacent we are and how we just think that, because they kind of touch on it, how like in the next to last actress who played her, the middle-aged one, how she was just like, everything was going so great and like, I'm free and I can do what I want and stuff. But it's just like, we're just seeing a rollback of everything that has only been accomplished in the last literally 70 years.
That's crazy. And and the way how that one life, how it showed how our place as women, you know, changed so rapidly, almost as rapidly as technology.
Yeah.
And how scary, you know, what we're living through now, which is completely being like, everything what we achieved, it feels like it's being rolled back. Well, you had your
70 years.
Only not even lifetime. 70 years.
Not even 70, you're right.
Yeah.
Because more like 50.
Even if that, around 50 years to kind of strive to be free. And now you had your fun, enough now.
Go back to the back.
Yeah.
Go back to the kitchen.
Literally. So it's kind of like, it is very, very scary. And I think it's very timely, an important piece, because like that's kind of, and the parallels with like the bigger context of France and the world in it was very interesting, because like they did talk about this kind of I don't know, level of engagement we'll have with like the bigger picture, and our, as you say, our part we play in it,
and how removed we are from a lot of it.
And that's exactly what's happening now. It's like we see the tragedies of these women, we hear about them, yet we are kind of like removed. And like, I'm talking especially about all the abortion bans and everything. So this kind of play shows that like, what's the cost of this, not being able to access this medical, you know, assistance, and what it, you know, does to a woman. Yet we know these stories, we hear these stories being told, you know, even in the
and people have family that have been through these things,
and yet we don't care. You know, it's like the same when they started, you know, talking about all the things, you know, that was happening. Like, you see them, you know about them, but like, you still, I think, so involved in your life, so you don't really care.
People think we can't care about more than one thing at one time, but a lot of people don't have the bandwidth to do that.
Yeah, no, and to be fair, it is very difficult, I guess, when we have access to all the, and you know, all the, you know, liberals being like, but what about this? It's like, oh, you care about, you know, this issue, but what about this issue? And it's like, well, can I just care about something or no? Yeah. Because I think again, we try to be righteous all the time. Well, signal righteousness, I guess, rather than actually being,
doing it. Yeah.
Because now it's easy. You just repost something and then
put a black square on your Instagram.
Yeah, put a dead child, and then you'd be like, I care. But you know, so I think we're too preoccupied about signaling about our I don't know, virtues or access to knowledge, our Googling skills, so we know, oh my God, this happens. Amazing. But what does it do to our real empathy? That's a real question. That kind of access to everyone's suffering. Because me personally, I can't be on this doom kind of reality 24/7.
Agreed. I can't either. Can't do it.
Because like, I know I'm not ignorant. I know what's happening. But if I'm there all the time, and it's very weird.
How can you function if you're in that place? How can you function?
And even though, like, there's like, I guess, guilt of enjoying your life, you know. But the question is, should it be? It's very interesting. It's, I mean, probably too deep to discuss on a We Just Haters podcast.
obviously, as you could tell, we enjoyed it. And it really like caused us to ask a lot of questions about, regret and like, how do you ensure that you don't have any regrets? Because the end of the whole thing was like uncertain. It was like, is she happy? But it felt like, no, she isn't. She's not happy with the choices she made. And she regrets them, even though she did have that period of time in her life where she could do whatever she wanted.
And even though it felt like
still wasn't satisfied.
Choices were made for her. Like, and I think that was like the depiction of what's happening simultaneously in the world when this woman lives her life. It's like every time like the advancements in either women's rights or like healthcare kind of like passed her by. Like when she had abortion, after that, the pill was, made readily available. After she had 2 children, like 80s came, and then women could be more open about not wanting children or like choosing not to have them. But again, it felt like she was lagging behind.
Just missing the deadline.
So kind of like, she made some decisions, but then I think a lot of decisions were made for her.
Yeah. And then finally, when she was able to make more decisions for herself, it was too late.
It was too late. And that's such a poignant kind of reminder of...
It was too late for her to fully enjoy.
Do your thing. And that's like the scariest moment, isn't it? When you like... And that's what I liked about the end. There was still hope because like she was still talking about maybe writing the book. She never explicitly said, oh, it's too late now. But it's kind of implied. Like we feel it, that we probably as an audience feel that she's probably not going to write this book.
Yeah.
It's probably too late now, which is the scariest feeling I think that it could ever be.
But it's never too late.
Yes.
You shouldn't give up.
Yes.
You can still be fulfilled and find that feeling even later in your life.
Yeah.
And you can still write that book.
Yeah.
So don't give up. It's never too late. Write that book that you want to write.
Exactly. Now.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it felt like she didn't do it. It felt like that was it. She just is gonna...
Yeah, but it was never explicitly said. But I think that's why there was this power of that scene, because we were like, come on, like, don't give up,
and she kind of did, it felt like.
It felt like she kind of did.
And then the portrait of them all together, all versions of herself, the same person, in one tableau, essentially, because all these pieces make up this whole person.
Yeah.
And this whole life, or whatever.
Yeah, all the different pictures and memories that are gonna disappear any minute now.
Because she says, I feel like my memory is fading. She says it. She's like, at the end, she's like, I feel like some things are getting foggy. Which comes with age, of course.
And she's collected all these, memories and images to write that book.
Yeah.
And now they're kind of escaping her.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this production is gonna stay with me for a while.
Yeah.
In the way of considering things and just doing things, I guess.
Yeah.
It was a good reminder of just do it.
Do things you want to do right now. Don't wait for it.
Yeah. And we never know when we're not going to have our rights anymore as women.
Exactly.
So
let's see it, people. If you're in London,
yes, it's transferring to West End
in like January, I think so. Very soon. Wait, let me see if I can find I think I have it.
Yeah,
the dates.
Is it my birthday?
It starts January 24th
on my birthday. Hey,
It starts strictly engagement, strictly limited, so it's not going to be there for long. 12 weeks only.
Yeah, really go see it. It's. If anything, I think it's a good example of what European theatre is. Loads of things to consider. Go, see it.
Yes.
It's good. It's really good. Keep exploring. And, well, see you next time.
Yeah. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. choose? No. How do you say buy in Dutch? Nobody knows. Well, I should Google that.